The Prime Minister of the Tang Dynasty was a remarkable figure in Chinese history, celebrated for his dual role as a statesman and military leader. Despite his wealth, fame, and power, he remained a humble and devout Buddhist at heart. His devotion to Buddhism led him to regularly visit his favorite Zen Master, seeking both spiritual guidance and wisdom. Their relationship was extraordinary, transcending the boundaries of social hierarchy. It was a connection between a revered master and a respectful student. On a serene, sunlit morning with cherry blossoms blooming, the Prime Minister embarked on his usual journey to the Zen Master's remote hermitage. The narrow path that led to the Master's dwelling was surrounded by tall bamboo groves and a trickling stream, creating an aura of tranquility. The Prime Minister dismounted his horse and approached the humble abode, where the Zen Master greeted him with a warm and serene smile. As was customary, the Prime Minister, after exchanging pleasantries, sat down before the Master. His robes, adorned with intricate embroidery, contrasted starkly with the Master's simple attire. They discussed matters of philosophy, the state, and the soul, and their discussions were deep and profound, free from the constraints of rank and power. One day, while sipping tea, the Prime Minister posed a question that had long intrigued him. "Your Reverence, what is egotism according to Buddhism?" His voice was gentle, reflecting his sincere desire to delve into the depths of the doctrine. The Zen Master's face, usually a canvas of serenity, turned crimson, and in a tone laced with condescension and insult he retorted, "What kind of stupid question is that?" The Prime Minister was taken aback by the Master's unexpected reaction. His brows furrowed, and a cloud of discomfort washed over him. It was a response that he did not anticipate, and the sting of humiliation coursed through him. In that moment, his lofty position as Prime Minister, the prestige he held, was stripped away, leaving only the raw and vulnerable core of his humanity exposed. But the Zen Master was not finished. He had merely begun to unravel the layers of the Prime Minister's ego. After a brief pause, the Master's countenance shifted, and a gentle, knowing smile replaced the earlier condescension. He turned to the Prime Minister and said, "This, Your Excellency, is egotism." The Prime Minister, now not only sullen but also confused, sought to grasp the profound meaning hidden behind the Master's enigmatic response. He contemplated this exchange for days on end, and its significance continued to elude him. Egotism was a concept he thought he understood, but the Master's words had opened a chasm of self-reflection he had never explored. Days turned into weeks, and the Prime Minister's inner turmoil grew. He realized that as a student of Buddhism, he could not allow his ego to hinder his spiritual growth. His burning desire to understand the Zen Master's cryptic message compelled him to return to the hermitage. The Zen Master, ever the embodiment of serenity, welcomed him with a compassionate gaze. The Prime Minister, humbled by his previous experience, bowed respectfully and said, "Your Reverence, I seek your guidance. I do not understand the lesson you shared with me about egotism." The Master, nodding in understanding, invited the Prime Minister to sit. He began to elucidate the lesson, revealing the wisdom concealed behind his initial jarring response. "Egotism, Your Excellency," he began, "is the pervasive sense of I that we carry with us throughout our lives. It is the illusion that we are separate from the universe, from one another, and from the very teachings of Buddhism. This I is the root of suffering, the source of pride and arrogance, the barrier that keeps us from the enlightenment we seek." The Prime Minister absorbed the Master's words like a thirsty traveller sipping from a clear mountain spring. He realized that his inquiry about egotism had unwittingly exposed the very ego he sought to understand. The Zen Master's response had not been condescension. It was a mirror, reflecting the Prime Minister's own ego back to him. As the days turned into months, the Prime Minister continued his visits to the Zen Master's hermitage. Each encounter deepened his understanding of Buddhism and, more importantly, himself. The Master's guidance led him on a profound spiritual journey. He learned to let go of the trappings of power, the veneer of fame, and the weight of wealth, recognizing them for what they were: illusory attachments of the egotist. The Prime Minister's transformation became evident to those around him. His decisions as a statesman were marked by a newfound humility and wisdom. His military strategies were executed with compassion, seeking to minimize suffering rather than magnify it. He became a true leader of the people, embodying the values of selflessness, compassion, and enlightenment. Word of the Prime Minister's spiritual journey and his association with the Zen Master spread far and wide, even to the imperial court. The emperor himself, curious about the change in his trusted Prime Minister, requested an audience. The Prime Minister, now a sage in his own right, stood before the emperor, humble yet resolute. He shared the lessons he had learned from the Zen Master, emphasizing the importance of transcending ego and embracing compassion and enlightenment. The emperor, moved by the wisdom in his Prime Minister's words, sought the guidance of the same Zen Master. Over the years, the Zen Master's hermitage became a sanctuary for those in search of spiritual enlightenment and an escape from the trappings of ego. The Prime Minister's journey from a powerful, ego-driven statesman to a humble, enlightened servant of the people became a legend of the Tang Dynasty. His legacy was not measured in wealth, power, or fame, but in the wisdom he shared and the transformation he inspired in those who sought his counsel. The Prime Minister continued to visit the Zen Master, not as a student seeking knowledge, but as a friend, sharing the journey of enlightenment together. Their relationship remained one of deep respect and camaraderie, transcending worldly titles and distinctions. And as they meditated under the shade of ancient trees, the lessons of humility, compassion, and the art of egolessness continued to ripple through the annals of history, reminding all that true greatness lies not in the ego, but in the selfless pursuit of wisdom and enlightenment. Please like and subscribe my channel.